Harvey Dent, otherwise known as Two-Face, like many other Batman villains, is a tragic reflection of Bruce Wayne. While Bruce tries to meticulously control every aspect of his life, Harvey embraces the chaotic and unjust nature of the world. Both shaped by trauma, Bruce intentionally splits himself in two, or three, or four, while Harvey Dent's psyche is fractured involuntarily. Harvey Dent was once one of Batman's closest allies and one of Bruce Wayne's closest friends. He was a true symbol of institutional good, and his fall from grace is as good a representation of any that all it takes is one bad day. How did we get here? Let's go over the origin of Two-Face. Which one, you ask? All of them. Starting with his first appearance. Detective Comics issue 66, The Crimes of Two-Face, originally released in August of 1942, written by Bill Finger and illustrated by Bob Kane. This comic depicts Harvey Dent, originally Harvey Kent, as the handsome and morally righteous district attorney of Gotham City. We see Dent in a case against the mobster known as Salvatore Boss Maroni, originally Moroni, a play on moron. Dent calls into witness Batman himself. Batman testifies to fighting Maroni and claims Maroni committed a murder. Dent presents crucial evidence to the court, Maroni's lucky double-sided coin, with his fingerprints on it, found at the scene of the crime. Enraged and desperate, Maroni leaps over the defense table and attempts to douse Dent in acid. Batman leaps over the witness stand and partially blocks the acid, leaving half of Dent's face severely scarred. Later, in the hospital, Dent sees his face in a mirror for the first time since the accident. He makes a painfully obvious remark. "My face! The acid has left one side scarred and hideous." The doctors suggest plastic surgery, and luckily Batman knows just the guy for the job. But drats! The plastic surgeon went to visit his brother in Germany, and then the war started and the Nazis placed him in a concentration camp. So plastic surgery's out of the window, and I guess there's no other plastic surgeons in the area? But anyway, Dent exclaims, "Batman, my fiance's a sculptress. She worships beauty. She'd hate me now. I'm ugly, horrible. What am I to do?" And Batman basically just says, "Tough shit, good luck," and leaves. Dent leaves the hospital, and everyone who sees him is disgusted and frightened, until he arrives at his fiance's house, where she tells him that no matter what, she'll be there for him, in sickness and in health, and she loves him no matter what. Wait, that's not what happened? Oh. Well, from the top. Everyone who sees Dent is disgusted and frightened, and when Gilda opens the door to her home, she's excited to see that the bandages are off, but is terrified by what's underneath. Dent tries to get closer, but she yells, "No, no, I can't bear it, please don't." Heartbroken that the woman he loves is repulsed by his appearance, he snaps. Dent defaces Gilda's sculpture of him, saying it must match his true face. He storms out, and once he arrives home, Dent takes Maroni's double-sided coin and scratches one of the sides. He decides to flip the coin. If it lands on the clean side, he'll wait until the plastic surgeon returns to America, although I don't know how promising that is, and return to his regular life. If it lands on the scratch side, he'll dedicate his life to crime. Of course, the coin landed on the scratch side. Here, Harvey Dent officially becomes Two-Face. Two-Face starts using the coin to decide between good and evil. He commits heinous crimes across the city, but also commits acts of good, such as giving his stolen money to charity. This left the opinions of Gotham City's people on Two-Face divided, some seeing him as a dangerous criminal, while others seeing him as a Robin Hood-like figure. Two-Face plans his next hit on a double-feature movie theater. He thinks he's so clever. Two-Face interrupts the movie to tell people to surrender their valuables. Batman and Robin fight off Two-Face's goons, and instead of immediately capturing him, tries to convince him to leave behind his life of crime and start operating on the right side of the law again. Although the offer is tempting, Two-Face leaves the decision up to the coin. However, the coin lands on neither side. The coin landing on its edge represents the fragile, unstable boundary between Harvey Dent and Two-Face. Because the coin could never decide, he remained trapped right in the middle, forever torn. Next up, the Batman Annual number 14, The Eye of the Beholder. Originally released in 1990, written by Andrew Helfer and illustrated by Chris Sprouse, this story quickly became the definitive post-crisis origin of Two-Face. 1 year into Batman's crusade against crime, Gotham is plagued by a serial killer known as the Senior Slasher. Batman, Jim Gordon, and District Attorney Harvey Dent form a secret alliance to work around Gotham's corrupt system and clean up the streets. The killer, revealed to be Rudolph Klemper, is caught and must appear in court. Klemper confesses to Batman but is cleared by the jury. Shortly after his acquittal, Klemper dies in an unexpected explosion inside his own home. It's revealed that Harvey Dent experiences a split personality disorder derived from a childhood game where his abusive father would flip a coin to decide whether to beat or spare him. To cope with this abuse, Dent subconsciously created another personality to pour his trauma into. This personality was violent and amoral, believing this game of life was rigged from the beginning. As an adult, Dent sees the coin for himself and realizes it's a novelty coin with two identical sides. Vindicated by this, the alternate personality begins to seep into Dent's dreams nearly every night. Dent starts to carry the coin around, insisting it's a good luck charm, believing he's stronger than his trauma. After being arrested, Salvatore Moroni and the assistant DA, Adrian Fields, attempt to delay Moroni's trial, even going as far as hiring a hitman to take out Dent. When attacked, Dent's alternate personality takes over and savagely beats the hitman. And on the day of the trial, Fields smuggles a bottle of acid into the courtroom for Moroni to enact his revenge. During cross-examination, Moroni douses Dent in acid, horrifically scarring him. Immediately after, Moroni is shot and killed by the bailiff. While recovering from his injuries in the hospital, Dent's wife Gilda gives him the double-sided coin, now also disfigured on one side, in hopes that it will offer comfort. But instead, it inspires him to give in to lawlessness and the violent personality, but only when the coin permits it. After a visit from Batman confirms that Fields in fact smuggled the acid in for Moroni, Dent escapes from the hospital and assaults Fields in his own home. Batman attempts to intervene. Dent kills Fields, leaving Batman badly injured. Batman visits Gilda, Dent, and Jim Gordon in order to get more information on Harvey in hopes of tracking him down and putting an end to his crimes. Batman tracks Dent to a welfare motel where his father is currently living. Here, Dent, now calling himself Two-Face, has his father at gunpoint, playing a revitalized version of the game from his childhood. Dent Sr.'s future is dictated by a coin flip, just as young Harvey's was before. When the coin lands clean side up, though, Dent peacefully surrenders and is taken to Arkham. While in Arkham, Dent agrees to undergo an experimental reconstructive surgery to fix the scarred side of his face and theoretically restore his mind. After the surgery, Harvey looks into the mirror and with his own fingernails rips off the remainder of his skin on the left side of his face. Now, onto a TV show some of you might have heard of, Batman the Animated Series. First airing on September 5th, 1992, it is inarguably the most prolific superhero cartoon of all time. This show pioneered mature storytelling in children's television, giving Batman villains disturbing, tragic, and sympathetic origins. Before this series aired, most Batman villains were campy and one-dimensional. The best example of this is Mr. Freeze. Before, he was just a bank robber with an ice gun. Now, he's one of Batman's most tragic and sympathetic villains, committing crimes out of love and desperation in an attempt to save his terminally ill wife frozen in cryogenic stasis. But we're here to talk about Two-Face. The episode titled Two-Face Part 1 opens with DA Harvey Dent being tormented in his dreams by his other half, flipping a coin saying, "It's time, Harvey." Dent meets Commissioner Gordon at a crime scene where Batman saves the day. It's revealed that this is part of a larger operation headed by Harvey Dent to take out Rupert Thorne. As all the criminals are being arrested, one of them stops. He calls Harvey Dent a pretty boy and says he acts tough, but he won't be when Rupert Thorne catches him. He kicks mud onto Harvey's suit, triggering something inside of him. He snaps and throws the criminal onto the ground and threatens him. He's about to knock the criminal out on live television before Gordon intercepts his punch and tells him to get a hold of himself. Later, we see Dent at a fundraiser for his re-election, funded by Bruce Wayne. Bruce and Harvey have been friends for a while, so he notices something's off about him. While still at the fundraiser, Harvey is told that a judge threw out the case on Thorne's men because the warrant was incomplete. Dent snaps again, this time grabbing and throwing around his colleague in front of everyone. Bruce tries to step in to calm Harvey down, but he cocks his fist back, ready to punch him square in the nose, until his fiancée steps in front of his fist, and he comes to his senses. Later, we see Dent speak with his therapist, where she asks to speak with Big Bad Harv, his second personality. We learn that as a child, Dent repressed his anger, subconsciously creating a second personality. The voice actor Richard Mole was able to create such a clear distinction between Two-Face and Harvey's voice and personalities that perfectly captured Dent's struggle with his dual identity. Big Bad Harv starts destroying the therapist's office and is about to hit her when she snaps him out of it. His therapist recommends he admits himself to a psychiatric ward, but Dent knows that would hurt his chances of getting reelected. It turns out during the therapy appointment, someone was listening and reporting to Rupert Thorne. Thorne calls Harvey and blackmails him with the newfound information. It's revealed that as a child, Harvey had a bully, and one day he couldn't tolerate it anymore, so he punched him. The kid ran away and later ended up in the hospital. Turns out, though, it was just an appendicitis or some shit like that. But Harvey, thinking it was his fault, felt so guilty he never showed his anger again, creating the Big Bad Harv personality. Big Bad Harv takes over in a fit of rage, attacking Thorne and his men just as Batman arrives. Thorne grabs Dent's file and runs, with Dent chasing after him. One of Thorne's goons' stray shots hits a control panel, causing a live wire to fall into a vat of acid, exploding and scarring half of Dent's body. When he wakes up in the hospital after the incident, he sees his face in the mirror and screams, running outside of the hospital room. Right outside is his fiancée, and when she sees him, she faints. Now, onto the silver screen. Batman Forever, officially released on June 16, 1995, saw a significant tonal shift from the previous two incarnations of the Batman on the big screen. Following the release of Batman Returns on June 19, 1992, DC faced heavy criticism from fans, mostly parents, for its dark tone and disturbing imagery.
It was very violent. It was a total attack against kids, the whole movie.
Parents felt that this movie misled general audiences by marketing heavily to children and that the PG-13 rating was inaccurate. All of this led to the birth of Batman Forever, where Warner Brothers decided to course correct and hired Joel Schumacher to direct the next film. He replaced Burton's gritty noir Gotham with that of colorful neon lights and exaggerated set pieces. Michael Keaton refused to return as Batman due to hating the script. In his stead, we got Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne in The Batman, who in my opinion is amazing for the role. But back to the point of the video, Two-Face. In this film, Two-Face is played by the legendary Tommy Lee Jones. Although his origin is brief, shown through a news segment, it hits all the necessary points. Harvey Dent is presented as the DA in a court case against Salvatore Boss Maroni. Maroni hurls acid at Dent. Batman attempts to save him, but it's too late. Dent is left physically scarred with brain damage. In this iteration, there's much less duality between Harvey Dent and Two-Face, and he's pretty much just a lunatic. He's actually quite close to what a lot of people have come to associate with the Joker. After rewatching this movie, I wouldn't be surprised if Heath Ledger got a lot of inspiration for the Joker from Tommy Lee Jones' Two-Face. And back to the comics. Batman The Long Halloween, originally released in December of 1996, spanning until December of 1997, written by Jeff Loeb and illustrated by Tim Sale. May he rest in peace. On the bright side though, he isn't here to see how Jeff Loeb bent Batman over and fucked the sense out of him. Anyway, Batman The Long Halloween is one of the most prolific Batman runs to this day, becoming the definitive Year 2 storyline in many people's Batman reading order, set only months after Batman Year 1 by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. But we're here to talk about our old pal Harvey Dent, who's got a huge role in this book, so let's get moving. In this book, Harvey Dent's introduced as Gotham's White Knight, a justice-oriented man working within the confines of the law to take down criminals, specifically the Falcone family. This is until Dent realizes all the cogs in the machine and that justice isn't always dealt out properly. He begins working closely with Batman in order to take down the mob, but Batman notices how unstable and obsessed Dent is becoming. The stress of the investigation takes a devastating toll on Dent. His obsession with justice pushes him to the brink, straining his marriage to his wife, Gilda. Even before his physical disfigurement, the comic drops subtle hints that Dent's suppressed, dark, second personality is beginning to claw its way to the surface. Early on, Batman and Catwoman show Harvey a secret underground warehouse where Carmine Falcone's hoarding millions in dirty cash. Since Falcone practically owns the courts, Harvey knows he can't touch it or use it as evidence. Stuck in a massive moral dilemma, Harvey freezes up, torn over whether to break the law and just burn the money. To force his hand, Batman gives him a silver double-headed coin and tells him to let fate decide. If it lands on heads, they burn it. Unknown to Harvey at the time, both sides are identical. The game's rigged from the start. They torch the warehouse, which completely sets Falcone off, and he bombs Harvey's house in revenge. The Holiday Killer emerges, taking out members of the Falcone crime family. Suspicion falls on Harvey Dent, leading to Salvatore Maroni dousing Dent in acid in a courtroom, brutally scarring half of his body. Tim Sale reinvents the look of Two-Face here by depicting the scarred half of his face as raw, deeply burnt purple flesh with no lips, nose, or hair. This physical trauma combined with years of built-up psychological trauma shatters Dent's mind, and he retreats to the sewers. On Halloween night, Two-Face reemerges and breaks inmates out of Arkham. Two-Face breaks into Carmine Falcone's penthouse and despite Batman's intervention, flips a coin and executes Falcone right then and there, cementing Dent's transition from champion of the law to resident of Arkham Asylum. And back to a cartoon. Batman 2004. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. That show didn't even have Two-Face, you stupid LARPing chud. And to that I say, you're correct. Partially. We in fact did not get to see Two-Face in the Batman 2004, although we would have if this show didn't get canceled. What we got instead was Ethan Bennett. On paper, this character is quite literally Harvey Dent. He's a friend of Bruce Wayne, later becoming a friend of Batman. He is an example of one of the few people within Gotham's local government that is pure of heart and is dedicated to upholding justice. In Season 1, Episodes 12 and 13, we are shown by the Joker that all it takes to break somebody so pure of heart is one bad day. A concept that is not foreign to comic readers. In these episodes, Ethan Bennett is suspended from the GCPD after publicly defending Batman. Being angry and vulnerable, Bennett gets kidnapped by the Joker and gets taken to an abandoned toy factory. Joker tortures Bennett, fracturing his mind, until Batman shows up to save the day. During the fight, though, Joker blasts Bennett in the face with Joker Putty, a highly unstable experimental chemical. Back in his apartment, Bennett looks in the mirror at his melting clay flesh. Driven mad by the torture inflicted by the Joker, Bennett decides to use his newfound powers to get revenge, now officially going by Clayface. So, as you can see, pretty much Two-Face. And I couldn't make a video about any DC character without mentioning Batman 2004, because it's the best superhero media of all time. And once again, back to the movies. The Dark Knight, officially released on June 18th, 2008, needs no introduction. This movie's widely considered the best superhero film of all time. Directed by Christopher Nolan with standout performances by Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, Aaron Eckhart, and Gary Oldman. This film takes heavy inspiration from The Long Halloween for Two-Face's origin. Dent's introduced as Gotham's idealistic and fiercely dedicated DA, widely known as the city's White Knight. Unlike Batman, Gotham's Dark Knight, who operates outside of the law in the shadows, Dent fights injustice within the bounds of the law in broad daylight. Dent forms an alliance with Batman and Lieutenant James Gordon. Together, they designed a legal strategy to target the mob's financial lifelines, which eventually led to the historic joint trial and mass arrest of 549 Gotham criminals at once. Even before his face was scarred, Dent carried his signature silver dollar coin. He used it to play a psychological trick on people, claiming he made all his major decisions based on a coin flip. In reality, the coin was double-headed, symbolizing his belief that he could always make his own luck. Subtle hints of his violent nature existed before the accident. During a courtroom trial, a mobster pulled a gun out on him. Dent disarms the man without flinching and continues his closing argument. Later, when interrogating one of Joker's henchmen in an alley, Dent aggressively threatened the man with a gun, showing a hidden streak of rage that Batman had to actively de-escalate. Later, Dent and his girlfriend Rachel Dawes, also the childhood friend and former love interest of Bruce Wayne, are kidnapped by the Joker. They're both taken to abandoned buildings filled with oil drums and explosives and tied to chairs right in the middle. Joker is captured and interrogated by Batman on the whereabouts of Dent and Rachel. Using the information provided by the Joker, Batman tells the GCPD to go after Dent while he goes after Rachel. In reality, Batman knows he can only save one person. He knows the GCPD won't get to the location fast enough. Batman makes an arguably selfish decision to save Rachel, essentially deciding Harvey's fate. We witness a chilling exchange of words between Dent and Rachel as they realize no matter the outcome, this will be their last time speaking to each other. Dent tells Rachel not to worry and that they're definitely coming for her, not him. He attempts to break free, falling face first into spilled oil. As the clock ticks, we realize Batman, as well as us, the viewer, were fooled by the Joker. He swapped the locations. Batman arrives just in time to save who he thinks is Rachel. The GCPD lags slightly behind. Batman opens the warehouse door, seeing Dent face down in a pool of oil. As Batman's carrying Dent to safety, we see both buildings explode simultaneously. The GCPD arrived just seconds too late. Rachel's dead, and half of Dent's body is caught on fire, severely scarring him. We're taken to the hospital where we see Dent's injuries and Rachel's death have fractured his psyche. He is visited by the Joker and manipulated into playing into the chaos and injustice of the world. He uses the double-sided coin, now half scarred like him, to determine the fates of those he holds responsible for the incident. Let me just take a moment to talk about how beautifully done this Two-Face design is. This design and Tim Sale's design are practically one-to-one. On the scarred half of his face, there's no hair, eyebrows, eyelids, lips, or even a nose. His skin really looks charred and scarred, and you can see the tendon or muscle that allows his face to move. It's beautifully disgusting. Driven by his twisted sense of justice, he seeks revenge against corrupt cops and those he deems complicit in Rachel's death, including Commissioner Gordon. His rampage ends when he holds Gordon's family hostage. Batman tackles Dent off a ledge to save Gordon's son, resulting in the death of Two-Face.
The only morality in a cruel world is chance.
Our next origin story takes place in everyone's favorite DC reboot, The New 52. If you weren't already aware, The New 52 brought about some of the biggest changes to DC's flagship characters in an attempt to revamp, reboot, and modernize the DC universe. DC wanted to update their classic heroes for the 21st century and give new readers a friendly jumping on point. Characters were aged down, given sleek new costumes designed by the GOAT himself, Jim Lee. Starting on October 16th, 2013, the Batman and Robin title was transformed into Batman and Two-Face for 5 issues. In these issues, we see the New 52 origin of Two-Face. Bruce and Harvey have a long history of friendship, with Bruce even introducing Harvey to Gilda in college, and later funding his campaign for DA. Rather than Maroni, Harvey's main legal targets were the McKillen twins, Shannon and Aaron. After the twins were put away, Aaron escaped and tracked Harvey down. She killed Gilda right in front of him, strapped Harvey to a table, and poured acid on his face, permanently disfiguring his left side. The extreme trauma of losing his wife and being horrifically scarred caused Harvey to snap. He developed a split personality, embracing the name of Two-Face, and began relying on the 50-50 chance of a coin flip to dictate his actions. DC's One Bad Day is a series of 8 standalone comics inspired by the Joker's philosophy in The Killing Joke. These stories explore how one traumatic day pushed Batman's iconic rogues into darkness and offer a deeper look into their lives. In Two-Face One Bad Day, originally released on September 20th, 2022, the story follows a seemingly rehabilitated Harvey Dent trying to leave his past as Two-Face behind. Gotham's mayor offers him the district attorney position, giving him a strict warning to stay on the straight and narrow. Complications arise when a death threat is placed on Harvey Dent Sr. just before his 88th birthday. Harvey goes to Batman for help, but on the day of the party it's revealed that the mastermind behind the threats is actually Two-Face himself. Rather than killing his father, Two-Face planned to violently disfigure him at the party, forcing him to commit suicide in front of his wife and guests. Two-Face's scheme succeeds in traumatizing his father, who collapses and dies. Batman captures Two-Face and returns him to Arkham Asylum. In his cell, Two-Face confronts Batman about his inability to accept the dual reality of his personality. Harvey Dent is Two-Face. Good Harvey, bad Harvey, they're both Two-Face, and they will continue to fight for control over the body. And finally, my personal favorite. As a part of the All-In initiative following Absolute Power, Two-Face received his first ever solo series. This comic debuted on December 4th, 2024, written by Christian Ward and illustrated by Fabio Veras. This was around the time I was getting back into weekly pulls, and I'd always loved Two-Face, but this book lit a fire underneath me. After reading the first issue, hell, even the first page, I was hooked. He immediately skyrocketed to my favorite Batman rogue, and it wasn't even close. This book opens up with a narration from Two-Face describing the events of Harvey's disfigurement from his point of view. He says, "You didn't see what he took from his pocket, and I was too busy waiting to be born in a baptism of fire and pain. It was glorious." Alongside some of the most beautiful art I've ever seen in a comic. This line of dialogue was enough for me to put the book down and immediately add issue 2 to my pull list. We see that Harvey Dent has banished his evil alter ego, Bad Harvey, to a corner of his subconscious mind, enabling Good Harvey to act as an attorney for Gotham's underworld. Harvey agrees to defend serial killer Victor Zsasz, who is accused of murdering a fellow member of the Gotham criminal syndicate. It is revealed that Harvey is secretly pretending to let Two-Face pull the strings at times. He puts on a performance to navigate the underworld and manipulate Gotham's criminals into trusting his white church courtroom. Visually striking sequences by Veras showcase Harvey's internal prison for Bad Harvey. He struggles to keep his alter ego locked up while suspecting that someone unknown is intentionally trying to throw Gotham's criminal element into pure chaos. The strict mental separation between Harvey and Two-Face starts to deteriorate. The boundaries between who is truly making the decisions and which personality has the upper hand begins to blur. Pushed entirely to his psychological limits, Harvey's mask of sanity finally slips away and he becomes completely trapped within his own mind. The story shifts away from the white church to an abstract internal trial where Harvey Dent is put on trial for crimes he committed against himself. This issue functions as a dark retrospective of Harvey's psyche, unearthing repressed horrific memories. It introduces his mother to official comics continuity for the first time, exposing how both of his parents contributed to his deep psychological fracture. The body shared by Harvey Dent and Two-Face is officially up for grabs as the internal and external trials reach their breaking points. The narrative moves beyond a simple random coin toss. Harvey's forced to make a definitive, defining choice regarding his identity, his trauma, and his future in Gotham. The tragic final pages see Bad Harvey completely seize the shared body, trapping Good Harvey in the exact mental cage he used to occupy. Two-Face is one of Batman's villains whose origin is never really finished. Every writer changes something. Sometimes it's an abusive father, sometimes it's a childhood bully, sometimes it's just one bad day. But every version is trying to answer the same question. Was Harvey Dent always Two-Face, or did the world create him? And I think that's why he's lasted for over 80 years. The acid isn't what makes Harvey Dent Two-Face. The acid is just the excuse. The real transformation starts long before the courtroom. Every great interpretation plants these seeds early. The anger he suppresses, the obsession with justice, the impossible standards he holds himself to, the belief that if he just works hard enough, the system will reward him. Then reality proves him wrong. Batman experiences that same realization every single day. Gotham is unfair. Innocent people die. Evil people walk free. The difference is Bruce responds by tightening his grip, creating rules, contingency plans, backup personalities, and an entire family dedicated to keeping himself from falling. Harvey does the opposite. He lets go completely. If the world is random, then every decision should be random too. That's what makes Two-Face such a compelling villain. He's not Batman's opposite. He's Batman's closest parallel. He's the man that Bruce Wayne could have become if, after his own worst day, he decided that justice wasn't worth fighting for anymore. And maybe that's why Batman never gives up on Harvey, because every time he tries to save Two-Face, he's also trying to save the part of himself that still believes one bad day could be enough. So, that's every major origin of Two-Face. Let me know which version is your favorite, or if there's one I missed that deserves to be talked about. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking, subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.